Hey guys, so I've had this channel for just over 3 years and we finally hit 50,000 subscribers. Big thank you to everyone for watching the videos, sharing them, and enabling this very strange obsession I have with OCD type things with music theory and guitar, etc. So to celebrate, we're doing a 50K Q&A because, see, it rhymes. And if we do have any guitar related questions, I'll be using the PRS S2 Studio because it's been really great for me lately, especially the neck pickup tone. I've fallen in love with it. But anyway, I'm going to try to do the rest of this in one take, so it's not going to be a fancy video, but there'll be lots of yapping. So let's get started. All right, so first question, how about a Strandberg Essential giveaway? Well, I only have one Strandberg Essential. Strandberg hasn't sent me anything else, and I'm not giving that guitar away. So, unfortunately, the answer is no. Question 2, how do you film your YouTube videos? So, this is actually really cool and a great question because from the moment I started YouTube, I always thought about the idea of efficiency. And I had a little bit of experience filming other stuff and editing videos beforehand. Not a lot of work, just a little bit of freelance work. And the one thing that I wanted to totally avoid was having to come to a space, set up a tripod, set up a camera, and then have memory cards and taking them in and taking them out and going behind the camera to check your... It's really hard to film yourself if you don't have a solid setup. So from the very beginning, I decided I would keep my camera mounted at all times. So it's mounted on my desk right now and it always stays here. And then I use a capture card to go directly into my computer. And I use OBS to film all of my videos. So I can look at the screen right here and I always know that I'm perfectly in focus and I can always see what everything looks like. So that's the first big thing. So I hit recording, I hit stop, and I can immediately go over to my folder, grab the video, check it out, and so on. The other big trick that I do is, for the most part, if I'm filming a really important video, I never change what anything in the room looks like. And if you haven't noticed yet, I pretty much always wear the exact same things on camera. Why is that? Well, because oftentimes when I'm making a video, I start editing it and I realize that I forgot something, I made a mistake and blah, blah, blah. Since everything always looks exactly the same, I can put on a new outfit, walk back in here, and you will have no idea that I filmed a new clip. In fact, if you want to go back and test this, go back and watch my first True Temperament video I did with the Blue Strandberg. I filmed half of that video over because I made a bunch of mistakes and I spliced them together and I doubt you can tell the difference. So that's one of my big takeaways and my big secrets. Another big part of this setup is that I now have lighting that's always ready. So I have these really awesome newer, that's Neewer panel lights. They're made for gamers, but I use them for me. They're bolted to my desk. They're always set up at all times. And then I have newer lights behind me that glow on the back of the wall as well. The back of the wall glow, you probably seen in my old videos, that's always what I did, but it was always difficult to get it set up because I'd have to pick the color, look on the screen and see what the color looks like, turn around, adjust, look at the color, all of that. But since I have these newer panel lights and the ones in the background, there's an app that you can use with it. And let me see if I can show you this really quick. Yeah. So you can pull up the app just like that, and I can click on any of those lights, and I can very easily, as you can see here, just change the color or the color temperature for these lights. So that has been the biggest game changer for me lately. So I just walk in, I turn on my camera, which is a Sony ZV-E10 version 1. And then I just hit the lights on the app on my phone. Everything sets up. I'm in the same outfit I'm always in. I have this outfit picked out specifically for filming videos. And then I just sit down and start talking. And that makes the process super easy, super low friction. Similar thing if you want to make sure you're practicing guitar more often. Don't leave your guitars in the case in the storage unit 2 blocks away. You'll never practice guitar. Leave a guitar on the stand ready and tune at all times. Leave a guitar by your couch. If you can afford to have multiple guitars, leave one by your couch so that whenever you sit on the couch, you just go, oh, I have a guitar there, let me just grab it. Whenever you come to your office, you just go, oh, there's a guitar there, let me grab it. So long story short, that's how I film my videos, and that's why I do it that way. So I'm editing the video right now. I forgot to say this. Sign up for the Lifelong Guitarist Newsletter. Link below. Totally free. If you like rambling and philosophy and guitar stuff, you'll enjoy that. If you're listening to this, you will enjoy that every Saturday. Link below. Free. Next question. Can you comment on the value of formal music education and how it differs from the infotainment sphere on YouTube? Marvin starting a lot of fights amongst people that never experienced formal music education, I assume. I'm not sure I fully understand can you comment on the value of formal music education and how it differs from infotainment sphere on YouTube? Okay. Let me start with the second part. So he says Marvin starting a lot of fights amongst people that never experienced formal training. So I don't know. So if you don't know Marvin, he's referring to Danny, who is a fusion guitar player in the fusion band Marvin. Danny is probably the best fusion guitar player I've ever seen who's alive. I know that's a really bold statement, but considering his age and how good he is, and the range of things he can play, from fusion to just straight ahead jazz to gypsy jazz, like to rock to blues. He's one of the best guitar players I've literally ever seen. So much so that I have contacted him on many occasions, gotten private lessons from him because, yeah, when someone that good is fairly accessible, you might as well take advantage because very few of us are that good. I'm nowhere near as good. But anyway, I don't know about the drama he's been starting. I don't really know him much personally apart from the lessons that I've had from him. So I can't really comment on that. But in terms of formal music education versus infotainment. So formal music education, and again, I don't know what Danny's take is, but I do also have a big bone to pick with formal music education. And most of that frustration for me comes from the price of everything, right? Because without going on this really long diatribe, college in the 60s and 70s and 80s, college was so affordable that you could work a job while going in college to pay for your bills. And now college is so expensive that an undergraduate degree can put you in debt for the rest of your life. And if you're getting that degree in music, good luck ever paying it off. And we're just talking about an undergraduate degree, not talking about master's degrees or PhDs and things like that. So I do also have a big issue with formal music education, mostly having to do with the price, also having to do with how they treat professors. So I'll give you guys some real numbers. If you're an adjunct professor, meaning you're not a professor who's on contract forever, essentially with the university, where I live, one of the New Jersey schools pays like $3.5, let's say $4, let's round up to $4,000 per class per semester. $4,000. You need at least a master's degree for that class. And even if you have a PhD, the price does not go up. You get paid the same amount. And this is in Montclair, New Jersey, which is an extremely high cost of living place in New Jersey. And New Jersey in general is a very high cost of living. So the school's expensive. The adjunct professors get paid about $4,000 per class. And remember, I'm rounding up. If you were to teach 3 classes a semester, which they won't give you, but if you did, that would be what, 16, that would be, sorry. So 4 and 4 is 8 and 4, that's $12,000 a semester rounding up. 2 semesters in a year, that's $24,000. Maybe throw in another $4,000 for a summer class you could teach. So now you're a full-time professor and you're making $28,000 a year. That's not even enough to justify an undergraduate degree in terms of what money you can actually make. And then for the tenure track professors don't make a lot of money either. Like, they make a lot more money, but when you compare the amount of money and time you have to invest into these degrees and the income you can generate as a university professor, it's not even close. There are so many other jobs that you could do that will make you so much more money, that are less work, less stressful, and less time consuming to get the degrees to do it. So that stuff annoys me too. Actually getting to the question here, and oh my God, we're only on question 2. It's already been 9 minutes. This is going to be a very, very long video. I'll just keep going. How does formal music education differ from the infotainment sphere on YouTube? Well, here's the honest truth. There was a time when going to a university to study music, you would get a much better experience than you would get learning elsewhere. And I think that's still true for a lot of places and for a lot of people. But here's the thing you have to understand about the quality of education you're going to get. Well, first, let's just talk about the quality of education you could get and why you might choose to go to a formal school if it was a very good school with great professors. Number one, let's just say you're studying jazz guitar like I was. You also have right next to your jazz classroom an amazing classical composer, an amazing music theorist, an amazing pianist, an amazing music educator specialist. And so you can just go to their office and say, hey, I have a question about Beethoven. And they'll just sit there and talk to you for an hour about Beethoven. And you'll learn things that would have taken you God knows how long to learn by yourself or online, because you're learning it from an expert in that particular thing. And when you have 4 years to kind of swim in that pool of really smart, educated people who know a lot about their particular thing, and you're also hanging out with the people who are also doing the same thing as you, it's like this 1 + 1 = 5 situation where you can really skyrocket your ability to understand things and improve at things. That's the main benefit in a perfect world. But we're not in a perfect world. And so, especially over the last decade, what I've seen is that, number one, since tenure track positions where people get paid decent, not great, but decent money to teach, since those are disappearing, people who might have taken those jobs, if the money was better, are not taking those jobs. So what happens is that instead of having the Beethoven expert of the world in your music department, you have a really good piano player who studied Beethoven as a master's degree, who is 34. Nothing wrong with that person. Still very skilled and very knowledgeable. But his level of skill and knowledge is not the same as that other professor who would have been there if you were paying people the right amount of money. And this extrapolates even further because since that 34-year-old Mozart or Beethoven expert isn't getting paid a great wage, he doesn't have time to just sit around and talk to students. He has to leave that school, go to a different school and teach there, or leave that school, go to a different school, teach there, and then on the weekends teach private lessons. And when you don't have time as a professor to really simmer in the ideas and to develop your thinking, your overall knowledge development also gets stifled. So unfortunately, what I'm seeing a lot of universities now is the overall quality is just dropping dramatically while the price is going up dramatically. And it's not the professor's faults, it's not the students' faults, it's the institution's faults because they're pocketing all of this money. They're paying high-profile people a lot of money. They're having 7 deans and 300 administrators to do a job that takes 3 people on a spreadsheet. And this all trickles down to the quality of life for the educators and the students who are the people that the school should actually be there to serve. So, to make a very long story short, if you're at a very good university that pays people well, Harvard, Columbia, I don't know, insert great university here, then there's a big value in that as long as you can afford it. But if you're going to an average college that's taught by mostly adjuncts at the undergraduate level, it's still better than YouTube. But to be honest, that gap is closing faster than anyone is realizing. That's my honest opinion. Here, let me just give you my example, and then I'll go to the next question. Right now, as you guys know, for the last 3 years, I've been out of my PhD program for 3 or 4 years. I forget. I think 4 years. Yes, 4 years. For the last 3 of those 4 years, what have I been doing? I haven't been doing academic research. I haven't been applying to more academic jobs. I've been developing my online presence and YouTube channel and teaching curriculum online. Why? Because the salary I'm going to get paid to be a professor is not enough money to justify the lifestyle that I want. And by lifestyle that I want, I mean, I want to be able to afford to buy a home. I want to be able to afford to take care of my children. That's really all I want. I want an average American lifestyle, considering that I spent a lot of money and a very long time in college. I've been in college since I was 15 years old. In the summers, I started going to college. 15 to 29, all the degrees. And I cannot find a job that will pay me enough to buy a home and to take care of children in America. And I'm not trying to say that I'm this big, amazing, genius professor, that I'm some great get for a university. That's not what I'm trying to say. But what I'm saying is that if someone like me, who is middle of the road intellectually, is making this choice, what do you think people who are much smarter than me, who have much better skills than I do, are doing? They're not spending their time going back to teach at universities. So, very long answer. This is going to be a very long Q&A. Let's continue. Describe your feelings on aesthetics and how they may or may not have an effect on playing and or writing. I.e., if your guitar looks cooler, will you play more inspired? If you cut your hair, do you lose your guitar powers? Does having perfect color... Okay, I'm just going to answer each one of these questions one at a time, because my brain can't process the idea of answering this all in one rebuttal, or response, I should say. So, if your guitar looks cooler, will you play more inspired? That depends on the person. And it depends on the person. But I will say in general, if you like the way your guitar looks, you are going to be more likely to play it. Whether or not you'll be more inspired is a different story, because you'll eventually get used to how it looks, right? You can think about this like price too. The first time you buy a $4,000 guitar, you're playing it nonstop. And by the time you have 2 or 3 or 4 expensive guitars, it's just like having the effect, the impact, the drama of it wears off. So, yeah, that's the answer to the first one. If you cut your hair, do you lose your guitar powers? Well, I cut my hair. I've actually gotten better since cutting my hair, and I thought I would get worse. So, no, we're not Samson. Does having that perfect color on your guitar matter at all for opening any kind of doors for the player? I would say no. Is cool looking aesthetics just an ego stroke that takes away from the actual music? I would say no, definitely not. So cool, you guys have to think about it this way. I know we think that we like music purely for the way it sounds, but music is a performative art. If you ever go to a live show of a metal band and the band is just standing there looking bored, playing, the first thing you're going to see on Reddit is people saying this band sucks live. Why do they suck live? They're playing the music perfectly. Well, they suck live because they're not putting on a show. Music is not just about sound, it's about also a show. That's part of the experience. No matter how good the music is. And this is not just modern music. When you go and read text about Beethoven and Mozart, they always talk about what these people were like. They talk about how Beethoven was like, he was a little bit crazy and eccentric, and he was like almost like a mad scientist. And you go, oh, wow, that's so cool. That's why his music sounds that way. It's part of the whole gimmick. So, no, it's not just to stroke ego. Having a certain look or philosophical identity that goes with your music is also literally embedded in the idea of music, believe it or not. Anyway, next question. Lately, I have been wanting to get a better amp, and I'm debating whether I should get the Marshall JM whatever, or the JM whatever. I don't know. I've never owned an actual Marshall amp. I played through an Axe-Fx, and I use a Marshall amp there. And I'll tell you the one that I use, and you can tell me if that's one of these amps. I honestly don't know. I use the Brit JM45 Jumped for all of my tones. So that's my full knowledge of Marshalls. Congrats. What's your most disliked? Thank you. Congrats. What's your most disliked genre of guitar-driven music? Disliked. I'm going to get flack for this. I have a lot of, well, I'll say this. I dislike most music, and I dislike most guitar-driven music. I believe the more exposure you get to stuff, the more your opinions get more picky, at least for me. And since I've been exposed to so much music, my opinions on music are very, very aggressive. But my most disliked would probably be, and this has nothing to do with the artist, it has nothing to do with the quality or the skill, nothing like that. But everything related to Tim Henson's style or Manuel Gar. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but that guy as well. I think the band is Unprocessed or Non-Processed, maybe something like that. Anything related to those sounds that the guitar makes, I dislike all of that. Not because it's bad, not because they're not talented. These are all very talented guitar players, definitely more talented than me. They're better songwriters. They're better everything than I am. But I just can't find a way to connect with that music. It's hard for me to explain. I can find connection with almost any genre of music. I'm an ethnomusicologist. I can find connections with random bird sounds made by a tribe in Papua New Guinea. And I can find some real connection to that music. I cannot connect to some of this modern stuff that sounds really digital and it's all like compressor technique, mixing tricks. It just, to me, how do I put this? To me, it almost sounds AI. And I know Tim Henson can actually play guitar. He's very, very good. He can play most of his music really, really well. I'm not saying he can't play guitar, but I'm saying my brain processes it the same way you process something that looks almost human, that's not human, that uncanny valley. That music gives me that feeling, like it makes me feel uneasy. So yeah, I can break it down theoretically. I can explain why it's genius and why it's difficult and why I can't play it and why I can't create it because I'm not good enough. But it doesn't mean that I actually like to listen to it, and I don't. Okay. Do you think that gigging musicians should buy a mid-range guitar in case of theft? Yes. If you have a 1970s Gibson Les Paul, unless you are Joe Bonamassa, you probably should not gig that guitar. So, that's an easy one. You are the intellectual guitarist on YouTube for me. Strange. I don't really find myself to be much of an intellectual, to be honest. But thank you for thinking that of me. You need more playing videos, though. Or your approaches to popular methods, spread that music knowledge, you're excellent at articulation. Thank you again. Yeah, so I actually replied to this guy, and I get this a lot from people. They'll say, you never play guitar, and then I'll send them a playlist with 10 or 12 songs of me playing guitar that they've never seen, even though they've been following me for years. So here's the truth of the matter. I am here largely to please the viewers. You. If you don't watch the videos where I play guitar, I just make less videos playing guitar. Because honestly, I don't really care that much about showing people what I play. It doesn't matter to me if you never hear my music. That's just my personality. I like to teach and I like to talk about stuff. More importantly, I like to teach. So yeah, I'm fine if I never post another video of me playing anything. But I do agree with you. I need to do more teaching videos. I have a lot of teaching videos in the works. The reason they're taking so long to get released is because just like with gear demos, where I'm going to try every Les Paul and then I have 13 Les Pauls in the room. When I have these ideas about lessons, I get really big ideas and then it takes me forever to actually finish them. But I have a few big ideas that are almost done. There's going to be a lot more teaching coming very soon and a lot less gear, although there will always be gear. So thank you. For getting started in BJJ, what's the number one thing you'd recommend focusing on? The number one thing I'd recommend focusing on if you're going to start BJJ is to also at the same time get in the habit of including some type of yoga or stretching routine of some sort, maybe Pilates, whatever you like to do. and also lifting. Now, I don't mean you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to become a power lifter or a bodybuilder. But if you can lift weights at a medium intensity once or twice a week, and you can add in 30 minutes of yoga 2 times, 3 times a week, daily if possible, that's going to help you not get injured when starting BJJ. I would also say in general, don't do stupid things and don't make a lot of big, explosive, dramatic movements if you don't know what you're doing. And you probably don't know what you're doing because most of us don't know what we're doing. So white belts, blue belts, like myself, if you didn't know, guys, I'm a forever blue belt. The blue belt that's been a blue belt for like 5 or 6 or 7 years, that's me. So I'm a forever blue belt. I'm very happy about that. I never want to go higher. I just want to always be a blue belt. Anyway, so yeah, don't make a lot of big explosive movements. Try to keep your body healthy and not making big dramatic movements when you don't know what you're doing, which you don't know what you're doing yet. That will help you a long way in not getting hurt. I will say, since I got a couple of years into my blue belt and I kind of learned to calm the hell down, to not do crazy stuff, my rate of injury has been basically zero. I haven't been injured in a very long time because I don't do stupid things anymore. So, and also because I lift weights and stretch occasionally and all of that stuff. So that's what I would recommend. I hate the way guitar sounds no matter the pedal setup. Any tips, or am I stuck looking for a MIDI guitar? Well, if you hate the way guitar sounds, don't play guitar. Whatever instrument you like, go play that. You might as well, yeah. So what about the D'Angelico Bob Ware Bedford? Did you already get the chance? Did you already got the chance of comparing against the Deluxe? Any upgrades? I got one too. So the Bob Ware Bedford, I forget how much that guitar costs. It's like right under $1,000. The Deluxe is like $2,000 or more. Made in the same factory, but it has gold hardware and I believe a Goto 6-screw tremolo and locking tuners. So yeah, when I see 2 guitars made in the same factory and one has slightly higher grade parts, you can probably buy the cheaper guitar used, buy those upgraded parts used, and then for like the price of the cheaper guitar plus a couple $100, you have essentially the expensive guitar, except it won't look as good. So yeah, that's what I would do. I got one for you. All right, Sandy Ridge Music. Do you have any issues with how music is taught at the university level or with the Royal Conservatory method? I don't know the Royal Conservatory method. I'll just say that. So I can't comment on that. The reason I'm asking is that a few years ago, I started to really get into music theory. I quickly noticed that the traditional methods didn't work for me, and instead I found myself looking at wildly different sources that explain it in different ways, which then shaped my understanding. So I'll answer that one first. Yes. I don't agree with any of the way that music theory was taught to me in college at all, through any of my 4 music degrees. It's really stupid. A lot of the curriculum is based around classical music, which is fine, but who's actually playing classical music? How many gigs are you going to get playing classical music? There should be at least 2 tracks. If you want to be a serious classical musician, maybe you go down the classical music track. And if you want to be a normal human who plays a little bit of jazz, a little bit of rock, a little bit of blues, whatever, you should go down that track. And you'll have a better skill set for interacting with the music that you're probably going to interact most with. I also have a really big issue with the fact, with guitar players in particular, there's this big stress to think about piano and piano theory, which is stupid. If you've never played piano, the idea that learning piano is going to make you better at understanding guitar, to me, is completely idiotic. Because, well, it's like, this is what it's like. If you've ever learned 2 languages, and I mean as an adult, if you grew up speaking 2 languages, you're excluded from this. But if you started to learn a language at like age 14, 15 or older, imagine if someone told you, if you learn this second language, you're going to get better at your native tongue. No, you're not. That doesn't make any sense. Nothing is going to make me better at speaking English apart from learning more English. Yes, if I learn, I don't know, Italian, I might learn a couple of ideas about, oh, this is how gender and cases work in other languages, and therefore my English, I wonder how that works in English. Sure, I might be able to do theory stuff in my brain like that, but it's not going to make me a better English speaker. Similarly, learning piano, I don't care what anyone tells you. If you've never played piano, learning piano is not going to make you a better guitar player. It might unlock a few different ways you think about chords and a few little theory things, but for the most part, if you play guitar, stick to learning theory as it pertains to guitar, which is what I teach on my website and through a lot of courses coming very soon. So if you want to learn theory, the most effective way for guitar players, you should definitely only buy stuff from me, only watch me. No one else is qualified. There you go. I've learned on the internet people don't understand what sarcasm is. Some of that was sarcastic. I am not the only person who can teach you theory, but you should still learn from me. Okay, follow-up question. I assume that a lot of guitarists use a catch-all method for learning music theory similar to mine. What do you feel are the drawbacks to this? I don't know, honestly. I couldn't tell you what this theoretical catch-all method would be for learning music theory, so I can't tell you the drawbacks. But, yeah. Sorry about that. What's better, tusk or bone? I guess it depends on what you're talking about. If we're talking about the skeletal system, I like bone. It's what I'm born with, and it's organic. It just kind of happened. If we're talking about guitar nuts, I don't think it really matters. I guess, yeah, I don't think it really matters. Maybe with acoustic instruments it matters, but I don't really know. What stand are you using for your headless guitars? Okay, for my headless guitars, so I'm picking up my favorite and soon to be only headless guitar, the Ciccarini. The stand I use is this right here. It's called a Fender Universal A-frame stand. And this stand has these pegs on the back, which allow you to adjust the height of the various posts. And so I believe it's made for like Jaguars and Jazzmasters and weird shaped bodies. But headless guitars also have weird shaped bodies. So you can adjust the height of the posts and you can get your guitar to the right height. There's a link below. Okay. When will you make a video on your new guitar with the Gibson neck? Also, why did you cut your hair? It was magnificent. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to make a review on the guitar I just showed you soon. I love it. It's now one of the only guitars that I play. By the way, if you don't want spoilers for future videos, I don't know if anyone cares about that. Spoiler alert. I'm selling every headless guitar that I have besides that one, including all my Strandbergs. It's the only guitar that I ever need again that's headless. So that's how much I like it. I love it. It's amazing. I might get no, I'm not going to get a second one. I'm not going to do it, but I love that one. Why did I cut my hair? So I think I'm 33. Yes, I'm 33 years old. I hadn't cut my hair since I was 12. So I started growing my hair and playing guitar at pretty much the exact same time. There's a lot of reasons. Some are a bit, well, how much do I share? One reason is for BJJ. My hair kept getting tangled on things. Another reason is for the health of my scalp. The dreadlocks that I had, they were really starting to irritate my scalp. So it was really not, pleasant as much as it was in the beginning. Partly for a change. It's difficult to maintain. They get hot. Difficult to clean. You got to clean them a lot. And yeah, short hair is just more efficient for me right now. And yeah, it was a very easy thing. I don't really care. In fact, I'm going bald a little bit in the middle. I don't know if you can see it. The hairline in the front's getting a little bit thin. A lot of guys care about that stuff. I don't care. So the second my hair starts to bald to a point where like it looks bad on camera, I'm going to shave it all off and I'll just be bald. So, yeah. How to be a great music composer. Listen to a lot of music. analyze that music, compose your own music based on the things you learned from analyzing other music that you enjoy. It's that simple. I'm not a great composer, but that's the best thing you can do. Also, if you can find a great composer, study with them if you can study with them. Since you commented on your aversion to noises coming from your gear, do you use any noise reduction pedals? I don't use any pedals for the most part. I do have a couple pedals that I use. It's getting hot in here, but yeah, I have a couple pedals that I use. Everything goes through my Axe FX. I might have a very slight noise, whatever, on there, but what I end up doing is whenever I get a guitar and it's going to be one of my main guitars, I have someone take it apart, the electronics, and I have them add a bunch of extra shielding. And that makes it so that the guitars are dead silent because I only play humbuckers. So that's what I usually do for noise. Anything new on the chair front? No. I have a new chair in the other room that a company sent me. It's bad. Very expensive. I won't tell you who it is because I don't want to... Yeah. But it's a gaming chair. It looks like every other gaming chair, but it's from one of the expensive gaming chair brands. They sent it to me to review. I hate it. There will be no review. So, no. Chair-wise, nothing new for me so far. Headless. Aristides versus Strandberg versus Ciccarini versus Dean Gordon. Each one must have an aspect that you like more than the others. If you were to build a new guitar, what would you take from each one of them? Well, this is going to be very biased because the Ciccarini guitar is my favorite. It's also the one that I've spent the least amount of money on. So understand that up front. I'm very biased. But the thing I love most about the Strandberg is the body shape. As much as I love my Ciccarini guitar and the body, I think the Strandberg is like 1% better in terms of the body shape. Aristides, I like the idea that it's not made from wood. Although as I've gotten older, I've cared less and less about that. Especially since that guitar is not exceptionally lightweight anyway. I don't see the big deal about Aristides besides it being a very good guitar like these other guitars. Dean Gordon, the fretwork on that guitar is the best fretwork I've ever experienced in my entire life for anything, period, of any price range. The fretwork on that guitar, the way those frets feel better than my Ciccarini, as much as I love the Ciccarini. Dean Gordon has a lot of gifts, but one of his gifts is the best fretwork on the planet that I've ever tried. So, if I were to combine all of these, I would take the Ciccarini. I probably wouldn't even change the body, but if I can make it 1% more like a Strandberg body, I would do that. I would have Dean Gordon do the fretwork. Although, again, the fretwork on the Ciccarini is fantastic. But if we're talking about the perfect, crazy 120% guitar, I'd have Dean Gordon do the fretwork. And I'd have the Aristides tremolo on there because that's the best headless tremolo on the market, period. In fact, it's not on the market. Only made for their guitars. My throat's getting sore, but I don't want to edit this video, so I'm just going to take a drink of water. I'm sorry, but if you are 30 minutes, 40 minutes into this, I'm assuming you don't care if I take a drink of water. I'm not editing this out. I'm also not going to go back and put timestamps because that would be a lot of work. If someone puts timestamps for me, thank you very much. Could you do a video on bass ergonomics? I'm not even going to read the rest of this video, the rest of the comment. I'm sorry, I can't. I know nothing about bass guitars. Nothing about what a bass guitarist looks for. Nothing about the ergonomics, nothing about the challenges of making them ergonomic. I know nothing about it, so I'm not going to open my mouth about something I know nothing about. So, unfortunately, I can't. Hairstyle choices for guitarists, does it affect your tone? I think if you go from long hair to short hair, you get better at guitar. That's my honest opinion. That's what happened with me. Thank you. He says, congratulations. The next person, have you ever tried to compensate a nut? I have. It was cool, but it wasn't like something that made me go, I need to go change all of my guitars because of this. So, cool, but not a big deal for me. Okay. Our old man Treads. This is one of the guys on my program. A lot of questions, but let's do it. Can we expect original music from me? Eventually, yes. But original music doesn't make money. And right now I have to prioritize eventually paying off student loans, eventually moving out of an apartment into a house maybe, paying for kids, paying for a marriage. I have to prioritize that stuff over my desire to write music, because I don't really care about writing music to begin with. I like arranging songs more than anything. But original music eventually, because I am looking forward to that one day, but it has to make financial sense for me in terms of a time commitment. Describe your aha, eureka, open sesame moment in music. Okay, yeah. So this is one. We're gonna play the PRS S2 Studio. I forget the name sometimes, to describe this eureka moment. Hopefully that's loud enough. I don't feel like mixing anything later in the video. So I was probably 14 or 15. I was taking a music theory class at Harlem School of the Arts from this really great guy. And it was a very basic music theory class. And he was explaining to me how scales work and how chords work. Preliminary stuff. But I already knew what a scale was. So he played a scale on piano. Look at that tone of that PRS guitar. And then he systematically showed me how if you skip the second note, play the third note, skip the fourth note, play the fifth note, you then get the triad from that note. Then he did it with the second degree. Skip the next note, play the fourth. Skip the next note, play the sixth. You get a minor triad. You do that for all 7 notes of the scale, and then you harmonize. That's how you harmonize a scale. And if you extrapolate that same process to any scale, you then have all of harmony, from pretty much most of harmony. And that was like a breakthrough. I'm like, oh my God, it's that simple. You just do that. And then you take those chords and put them in different orders, and you have songs. And if you want to know how to improvise over that particular chord, you just look at what scale it belongs to. And those are all the notes you can choose from. I mean, what's more breakthrough than that? It's literally unlocking all of Western music, essentially. Of course, we have plagal cadences, we have Tristan chords, we have German 6 chords and Italian 6 chords. That's all fun too, but it all comes really back to that simple idea. What is the cringiest moment in music that you can think of? Oof. I have 2. Yours or anyone else's? I have 2. One is me. One is a band. I was a freshman, and at that time I still wanted to become a singer in addition to a guitar player, and I really sucked at singing. Spent a lot of money on singing lessons, didn't get much better. But I was in my dorm room, and I was singing, like practicing with a piano. I'm really belting it out. And I assume it sounded really bad. And I was like kind of next to like the air vent in the room. And I heard like some girls on a different floor like mocking me. And I was extremely embarrassed. Like right now I'm whispering that story to you because I don't want Mystery Girl in the other room to hear it and then bring it up later and ask me why I never told her that story. I'm that embarrassed by that. So I can barely tell you on camera. It's horrible. The other one was I went to see Die, T-H-Y, Art is Murder, live. And the singer was on stage and like he was doing the banter between songs thing. And like he tried to do like a Tony Soprano kind of a thing. And like people were kind of like talking and he's like, I have the microphone, listen to me. And it was just like, I don't know what it was because he didn't say anything like rude or crazy, but it was just like very uncomfortable. It kind of broke. I don't know. Whatever it is that made me think the band was cool, that moment kind of just shattered it all. I haven't listened to Die Art is Murder since, just because of that moment. Remember before when I told you in the video, if you would listen to that part too, that like music is not just the sound, it's also the art, the presentation, the non-musical things. Well, yeah, a band music that I love, I can't listen to anymore because of that cringy moment. So that proves it. 4. If classical music has the famous Victor Borg, then jazz has I'm going to say the loneliest monk, for me at least. Where do you see yourself going in this journey of YouTube teaching podcast essays? Well, I see myself very soon having some of the best educational videos on YouTube and some of the best courses available and some of the best ebooks available. And I think I see myself like if I were to think about my vision for myself, it would be people say this. Like this is the conversation I imagine people having about me. The guitar player talks to another guitar player, like a beginner, somewhat intermediate player. Have you tried any of that Andre Flood stuff? No, he's not really a great player. I know he's not a great player, but trust me, his teaching material is some of the best you'll ever see. And then a third person walks into the room and says, he actually isn't a terrible player. If you actually go to the playlist where he shows himself playing, and that's all him playing. It's not bad. That's my vision for myself. I think honestly, I don't know if it's all internal, but like, I know, like if you're on YouTube or if you're online, and this is why I talk about me not being a great player. If you compare my playing to some of the players on YouTube, like pick any guitar player on YouTube who has a decent amount of subscribers or less. Almost all of them, if not all of them, are way better than me. But if I walk into a guitar store in any city I've ever been in, a Guitar Center, a local shop, no matter what shop I walk into, for the most part, not always, but a large majority of the time, I am the best guitar player there. It's just that when you're online, you're being compared to the best in the world, which is like the 0.01% instead of the 10% or the 20%. So, yeah. That's where I see myself going. I don't ever think I'll be known for being a great guitar player, nor should I be. But I really want to be known for being a great teacher because honestly, that's what I care about. I don't care about how well people perceive my music or how well people perceive me playing. Truth. If there could be a musical challenge, try that again. If there could be actually, let me go back to question 5. More stuff. I do have a bunch of other philosophical things that I want to present to you. Like I have this whole thing about why art is a compulsive act. Like I have all these weird modes. Sometimes I'll get into like really spiritual mode, or I'll get into like really classical philosophy thinker mode and want to create something related to that. Usually not music. It's usually other things, but yeah. I also want to do a graphic novel one day. I have 2 different ideas for graphic novels. But I've never written something like that, nonfiction. I also can't draw, so I don't know. Humans are weird. 6, if there could be a musical challenge you could throw at us, what would it be? The next time you think something is difficult and you're going to move on from it, start doing that one thing for 15 minutes a day. Keep track of how long it takes you to actually achieve that goal. And you'll be shocked. We often give up right before we're about to have a breakthrough. And if you give up, you never have the breakthrough. So that's my challenge. Where does one's tone come from? I don't believe it comes from the fingers only. I'm just going to say that because I'm going to tell you, I don't sound the same on every guitar. That's why I don't play single coils, because I sound really bad on single coils. I don't sound great with every amp setting. Like, I don't sound great through a Vox. I don't sound great through, Voxes in particular. I sound really bad through Vox amps. I don't know why. I sound decent through Fender amps and through Marshalls. So that's what I play. So I definitely think a lot of it is in the fingers, because no matter what Marshall or what guitar, no matter what Marshall I play through, no matter what guitar that I played through, I'll still sound like me. So it's in the hands. But there is a component that is the gear, period. It's very true. Unless you're Bill Frisell, then it doesn't really matter. Tell us your top 10 or favorite albums of all time. Oof. So guys, I know I might seem older than I am. I'm only 33 years old. And when I kind of grew up and came about in music when we were transitioning away from thinking about albums and thinking more about individual songs. So I did buy a lot of CDs, and I do have a lot of albums that I like, but ranking or like a top 10 albums for me would be very difficult because there's very few that make it to that list, and probably less than 10. The first one that comes to mind is John Mayer Continuum. I don't care what anyone says, that's one of the best pieces of music start to finish written in the last 20 years, period. For like that bluesy, poppy sound, there's just nothing better, period. So John Mayer Continuum. Vanessa Carlton. Her first two albums, I think one is Harmonium and one is something else, but I forget what their two titles are, but Vanessa Carlton, I know everyone thinks of her as like, oh, she's the white chick's, making my way downtown, 1,000 Miles song, but I'm telling you, that woman is an amazing songwriter. Amazing. Go listen to Vanessa Carlton's, matter of fact, whatever. I'm going to look them up right now so I can give you the exact titles because I don't want you to get sidetracked and look up the wrong stuff. So Vanessa Carlton, discography. Oh, she's from the Northeast like me. I should have known. Yes. So Vanessa Carlton, Be Not Nobody, and Harmonium. Two really amazing albums. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care how you judge me after knowing this about me. That good. That's 3. Rage Against the Machine. I don't know which album, but you know the album I'm talking about. The Rage Against the Machine album that has all of their best songs. There might even be 2 of them. I forget, but that's the thing. This is what I mean about being a millennial. Like, it's hard to think in albums. So that. So that's 5. And just so you know, after I post this video, I'm going to remember a bunch of others that I should have said. One of the Led Zeppelin albums, I don't know which one, but the one that has all the songs that I like, that's in there for sure. One of the Guns N' Roses albums, I think it's the one that has November Rain on it, but it might not be. It might be Appetite for Destruction, but it might not be. I don't remember. That's 7. And I'm also skipping all of like my really weird music, like my Indian music albums and stuff like that. I'm not even including any of that because none of you will really care about that. But we have 4 more. Pick something by Thelonious Monk, jazz piano. Like something by him is going to be in there. Don't know which album. Grant Green. I think it's Grant's First Stand. Pretty sure. Let me double check because I want you to have the right album recommendations. And someone, if you can, I would love if someone would put these all in the playlists afterward. That'd be great. Yes, Grant's First Stand. In my opinion, it's the best. This is a bold statement. It's the best the best jazzy bluesy guitar album ever. The mixing is amazing. My favorite instrumentation, which is guitar, drums, plus organ. It's just, the reverb is perfect. It's an amazing album. So that's definitely on there. Another one was in my head as I was saying that one. And now I seem to have forgotten what it was. Oh, Jonathan Kreisberg 1. That's probably my favorite solo guitar album. Jonathan Kreisberg 1. Some of the just amazing not fingerstyle, but just amazing solo guitar arrangements on there. I have one more. I'll put one in from my recent listenings. I'm so bad with this stuff, guys. What's that band? That band that I really like. Oh All right, I'm gonna have to go to my Spotify and find a band that I've been really enjoying a lot lately. Monuments, yes. So Monuments, I'm going to go with the Amanuensis. The Amanuensis. That one. The album with I, the Creator, and Origin of Escape. That album is crazy good. Just crazy good. There's a lot more, guys. I'm sorry. I listen to a lot of different types of music, and top 10 list will take a long time to make. Favorite books, or are you reading something at the moment? Okay. Most of my life has been nonfiction. I have read only maybe 3 or 4 nonfiction books. And by read, I mean listen. Because I am really bad at reading out loud. And I'm really bad at reading in general. I have been my entire life. So much so that at one point, certain teachers thought that I might be like what they would call back in the day slow. The truth is, I was not. I was actually very intelligent. I just process things better hearing them than I do seeing them. When I got to high school and there were like lectures, I realized that I can close my eyes and never read and listen to the teacher teach. And I could just remember all of it and then come back and take tests and do great because it wasn't reading, it was listening. Anyway, by far, and keep in mind, I've only read like 3 or 4 nonfiction books, if that. Dune, the first Dune. I'm working on the other ones as well. But the first Dune book is literally a life-changing book. I read it, I listened to it for the first time last year. And the way it was written, the concepts discussed, the overarching, it's just, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if you say it's a cliche pick. I don't care if you say that you're just saying that because you haven't read other sci-fi. I don't care. I've been an artist my whole life. I know when something is good. Dune is the best thing I've ever listened to in my life. Or read in my life. It's just, the genius level is beyond. Literally every sentence has like 2 meanings. Every sentence is perfectly constructed. Every single sentence in the book. Just favorite films. I know a lot more about movies than I do about books. I have a lot of favorite films. My favorite, so I'm thinking about directors and then I'm going to tell you my favorite films from them. Christopher Nolan, The Prestige is his best movie, period. It's so good. Better than The Dark Knight, for sure. The Prestige. If you haven't watched it yet, please go watch The Prestige. It's amazing. Dog Day Afternoon, Al Pacino, if you don't know. Amazing movie. Also Al Pacino, Glenn Ross. Amazing movie. Fantastic. The best sci-fi movie ever. Period. I forgot the name of it. Oh boy. This is crazy. Oh man, I'm really embarrassed. I like hyped it up and now I forgot the name, but it's a really, really great sci-fi movie. It's the best one. It stars people whose names it has, okay, I'm trying to think of what actor it has, because if I think of the actor, I can look him up and then look up the movie. It has Jeremy Renner. He doesn't play a big role in it, but it has him. Arrival. Okay, the movie is called Arrival. Came out in 2016. I've recommended this movie to everyone that I've ever met in my life. And basically, when someone comes back and says they don't understand what the big deal is, no offense to you watching, but if someone tells me they don't like Arrival, I just know they don't understand it. And that they probably cannot grasp the depth of what the movie is teaching us or explaining to us, or how the structure of the movie works. It's a genius movie, a genius concept. It's based on a very short story, and I listened to that short story. The short story is good. It's not as good as the movie, which is a rare thing. So, Arrival. we can do this for a long time because I watch a lot of movies and I really love movies. So I'll just kind of leave it at that for now. Maybe we should do movie talk another time. Okay. This is my boy Adrian. Question: as someone who's interested in ergonomics, have you ever considered Alexander technique? It's taught in most major. Yes. So I was able to learn a lot about ergonomics specifically through Alexander technique. I'm not a practitioner, but I studied voice with someone who was, and then I took a class specifically about helping musicians be better ergonomically in their posture when they're playing guitar, and not just guitar. It was a class offered to all the musicians in the college, and like anyone could take it. What is Alexander technique? Practitioner who's also a conductor, choir conductor, and that's the class that I took that changed how I thought about ergonomics. So, yes, I do like Alexander technique. It really was a big help for me. That's really when I learned. And she's the one who taught me that. It wasn't a guitar teacher. That's when I learned to have the guitar up like this. Even electric guitars, because I brought a guitar in and it wasn't an electric. It was an electric guitar. Classical players sit like this all the time. But I had a strap on that guitar and she kind of moved me around and she kind of angled it eventually and she got it to here. And she made me keep my head up. And I started playing. And she's like, just play some stuff. And I started playing and she's like, how does that feel? And I'm just like, oh my God, I can just do it now. And ever since then, like, I've been really big into ergonomics. So yes, mostly because of Alexander technique. 50K, that's insane. You'd assume it would be 500K already. Ha. Ha ha. Let me just say this. 50K in 3 years, very rare. In YouTube. Almost no one does that. Because almost no one makes it to 1,000 subscribers. So 50K in 3 years is definitely very good. I'm proud of myself there. 500K in 3 years would be unheard of. It's almost no one ever has done that. A few of the crazy guys, of course, have. But if I had 500K subscribers, guys, I would not be living in an apartment like this. A 500K subscriber count, if you have a business, like if you sell lessons, guitar products, whatever you sell, 500K subscribers, if you're not a multimillionaire, you didn't build your business correctly. And I'm not anywhere near a multimillionaire. I'm not even, I'm so far financially from what 500K subscribers would be for me. But yeah, I appreciate you thinking that I would have that many subscribers. I don't even think, how much subscribers is like, so Rick Beato, of course, has millions, but like Rhett Shaw, how many does he have 500,000 yet? Let me check real quick. Because I think, isn't he one of the biggest guys on YouTube who has come around in the last 5 to 10 years? There are guys with more subscribers, but they've been around for longer than you think. Okay, well, Rhett Shaw has 734K. And I'm going to go look at his oldest video. Yeah. He's been on YouTube for 8 years. So 8 years to 750,000 subscribers. 3 years to 500K. Unfortunately, it does not work that way. But I appreciate you saying that. What would you say was the biggest piece of music advice you were ever given? I'm not sure this is the biggest one, but it came to my mind first, so I'll say it. I was studying Indian classical music. I wanted to become an Indian classical music singer as an adult in my 20s. And since I'm a guitar player, I was obsessed with speed. If you don't know, Indian classical music is also very virtuosic. So there's a lot of people who can sing really fast, intricate things, just like you can play fast, intricate things. And I was obsessed with that. And so I was talking to my teacher, telling him how, like, I don't understand why I can't sing more intricate, faster things. And I'm going to butcher this, but he essentially said to me, no one has ever went to a concert and said, that person sang too slow. And that changed my whole life with music, and with guitar as well. Because I realized, although I was into all of the fancy guitar stuff back then, I never saw a guitar player perform anywhere and thought to myself, wow, he was really good, but he was too slow. Never thought that. I've thought he was really fast and kind of overbearing. I've thought that was so technical I couldn't connect with it. But I've never thought that guy was too fast. That guy was too slow. I didn't enjoy it. So that was a huge change in my thought process for really everything to do with music. What was the first solo jazz guitar piece you ever learned? Was it a good starting point? Why or why not? The first arrangement I ever had was probably Autumn Leaves. Very typical answer. I don't know if it's a good start or a bad start, but Autumn Leaves is a more difficult song than people realize. There's a lot of easier songs than Autumn Leaves, believe it or not. And it's also not a great song for arranging for solo guitar because the melody is just not, the melody doesn't have enough phrases to sustain a very easy solo guitar arrangement without it being boring. So definitely not the song I would say start. Believe it or not, I wouldn't say start with Autumn Leaves if you're trying to learn jazz or solo guitar arranging or solo guitar playing. But it was the first for me. And that's why I would recommend it. Okay. I'm about to be unemployed for a month and will thus have more time to practice. Congratulations. What should I focus my time on? Aside from scales and arpeggios, which I still definitely need to be working on, I consider myself an early advanced player. I know exactly 2 jazz standards and a whole bunch of rock songs. I would say you should start learning whatever genre of music you care about. Jazz, blues, rock, it doesn't matter. Start learning more songs. And when I say learning more songs, I mean spend a lot of time with them. I mean learn them, learn the melody in multiple spots on a fretboard, learn the chord progression, memorize it, memorize the Roman numerals for the chords. So like a 2 chord to a 5, to a 4, to a 6, to a 1. Memorize it that way as well. And then work on specific licks, improvisation ideas, whatever it is in relation to those songs. If you were to do that for 5 songs, I'm still doing it for 1 song, by the way. I haven't done this in a very long time, and I never did it to the level I'm doing it now. But if you do that for 5 contrasting songs, your guitar playing will go leaps and bounds. I can promise that to you. So if you pick the right 5 songs and you work on it that way, I mean like spending a whole month on just 1 song. Maybe even 2 months. Like that's how deep I want you to work on these ideas. And see, already people are like, I would never do that. That takes forever. But think of it this way. If you did that if you spent 2 months on every one of those songs, that means you would have 6 songs in a year, but those 6 songs would have made you a better guitar player than you would have gotten in 10 years. I guarantee it. I promise you. And in about a year, I'm going to prove that. Or maybe 2 years. We'll see. Raphael says, massive congrats. Thank you. Thank you. Sean A. BJJ, also congrats. Thank you, guys. If you don't watch the Sean A. BJJ channel, definitely watch it. One of the best new BJJ channels out there. Okay, what is the best string gauge for electric guitar and why? Yes, I know very subjective, but what do you like and why? Two answers. The standard 10 to 40, is it 46, 48, whatever, 52? I don't know. But the standard set of 10s, the best string gauge. Why? Because it comes on every guitar. It's easy. It's a good middle ground between being slinky and being firm. And if you get used to it, you can just play most guitars easily. If you're going through trauma with your hands or your body, I highly recommend trying a set of 8 to 38. I was dealing with wrist issues for a few years. During that time, I switched to 8 to 38 and worked my way back up to 10s over the course of maybe 3 years, 4 years. And this year, I'm back to playing 10s, and part of last year, for the first time in a long time. And now I feel like I can fully appreciate 10s because I built myself back up to them. So, question from Leon. Why is the Parker Fly your dream guitar? Well, I don't know if it's my dream guitar anymore, but when I was growing up, it was the coolest guitar. Like, I liked technology back then. You know, me and my dad would build computers together back in like the late 90s and, you know, go to computer shows and get parts and put them together. So I liked the idea of like technology. And the Parker Fly had the most technology of any guitar. It was something that was created with intention instead of tradition. And I always loved that. What are 3 to 5 albums you think every guitar player should learn to really know how to be a solid and more complete guitar player? That would be very hard. We'd have to go by genre. And I don't really believe in learning entire albums in that way either. So I don't really believe that would be the best way to get really good at guitar. But people are asking about that a lot. So I'll give you one per genre. If you want to learn how to get better at playing bluesy jazz guitar and jazzy bluesy guitar, Grant Green's Grant's First Stand. Learn that one, and you will be a better guitar player. Then pick something by Wes Montgomery as well, and you'll be really good. Metal, pick a Dream Theater album, learn it start to finish, and you'll be really good. Bluesy shred, pick a Joe Satriani album like Surfing with the Alien, learn all the licks and all the songs, and you'll be really good at that style. So, but that's not how I really would teach guitar, to be honest. But those are some albums for those things. I really subscribe these days. Bad practice as a YouTuber myself, but I've received great value entertainment from your channel, so you earned it. Thank you. Patrick says, congrats. Thank you. What is one song you recommend learning note for note all the way through to increase lead guitar chops? I'll be honest, I don't really think about music in that way. And lead guitar chops are going to differ genre to genre. So, yeah, someone said reply Cliffs of Dover. Sure, if you like that genre of music. But if you like jazz, then maybe not Cliffs of Dover. If you like technical shredding, maybe not Cliffs of Dover. So I think it's a good idea, but you have to be careful about what song you pick. And it has to be very genre-based. So, sorry, I don't have a real answer there, but yeah, that's the answer. Okay. That was the first 43 odd questions. Let's go to the next group of questions. Okay. Any advice on how to balance your career as an educator and YouTuber while also taking the necessary time to nurture personal relationships and friendships? All right, guys, you're going to learn a lot about me with this answer. I'm just going to be very honest with you. I am not a normal person. I don't really know how else to say that. So I wake up at around 4:30 or 5 in the morning. I work until about 5 or 6 in the morning, until 5 or 6 in the afternoon. Some of you think I'm exaggerating. It's not true. This is literally how I live my life. Most days, so 6 days a week at least, oftentimes 7. If you don't believe me, ask anyone in my guitar program. They'll tell you. I reply to comments at all hours of the day, from 4:30 a.m. to about 6 p.m. I'm very, very structured. I'm very rigid. I wake up, I practice for 2 hours. I work on some other stuff for business. I work on my work for my job. I work with my students. I work on YouTube. I go to the gym. Like, I have a very, very, very rigid, some might say OCD routine. In terms of balance, I'm kind of among my family. I'll explain friends in a second, but among my family, people know that, like, I'm not showing up to stuff. It's the truth. Like, of course, when there's a big family event, I show up. Christmas. Sometimes Thanksgivings. If someone is sick, I show up. If someone needs me, like if my brother's like, I need you to watch my kid, of course I do it. But for the most part, I'm talking about those family events. I'm talking about those family events that happen like every other week, where someone's like, hey, I'm having whatever, come over. And then 2 weeks later, like, hey, I'm doing this, come over. That's not me. Because a lot of those events happen at night. And if I go to an event and I get home at 10 or 11 p.m., now my next day is thrown off. And if my next day is thrown off, then I usually need a full day to recover to get to the next day. And I just can't I can't have 2 days a week thrown off every 2 weeks. That's 4 days a month that are guaranteed to be messed up, plus whatever other days that I personally mess up. So for example, I'm not trying to pretend like I'm a robot. I have off days where like I slept wrong and I'm just not going to have a very productive day. And so I'll have these days where I just take the whole day off because I know that it's better to recover than to keep working. And if that happens 3 times a month, I can deal with it. But if that happens 3 times a month, plus 4 other days because I want the stuff that I don't care about, that's now a whole week out of the month gone. And then of course I do have a partner. I have a fiance. We spend time together, and I have to give. I allocate specific time for us. And if she ever has an issue, I have to stop what I'm doing for that day too. So assume that she might have an issue twice a month, which is normal, maybe even more sometimes, right? So now we went from having 30 days in a month, and all of a sudden, we're down to 19 or 18 days. That's almost half the month gone. You extrapolate that over a year, and that's half your year gone. I don't really care what anyone says about balance and things and relationships and things like that. If you live in the 21st century and you're not blessed to come from money, and you have opportunities that require work, if you don't put in the hours, you won't get the result. And there's no shortcut. There's no productivity hack. There's nothing you can do besides put in the work. And it's not that I'm working all day every day, but I work a good amount of hours. And to support my brain's ability to work those hours, I have to go to the gym regularly. I have to meditate. I have to get my steps in. I have to cook healthy food for myself. I have to keep my environment clean. I have to keep my relationships healthy with my family and my significant others. All of that takes a lot of time, but I can't devote time to keeping myself efficient if I don't put time into those things. So if I put time into those things plus all the other nonsense that everyone else does, we're talking about half a year gone from your life, every single year. Good luck trying to progress if you take 6 months of your life of the year and just squander them. Now, of course, I don't plan on living this way my whole life. I'm in the building phase of my life right now, and in a few years, I probably won't be this way. I'm doing all of this now because when I have kids, I want to spend a lot of time with them. I don't want to work a 9-to-5 job when I have kids. Say what you want about me. I want to raise my kids. I don't want them to be in daycare all day long. And I don't want to wait until retirement to enjoy life. So that's kind of my plan, and that's kind of what I do. Friendships, I don't have many friends. I have maybe 2 friends, maybe 3. One of my friends, she kind of messages me once every 2 years. That's just kind of our relationship, and then we talk for a little bit, and then we don't talk for another year or 2. We love each other. We're great friends, but that's just how we are. Another one of my friends, we talk like once every 4 or 5 months. She understands because she knows that what I'm doing right now. And my other friend, who's a guy, we talk mostly sporadically, a couple times a week through text message about like gym stuff or like BJJ stuff. He's also friends with my significant other. So like he'll be on the phone with her and they'll be talking while I'm cooking, and then I can kind of just jump in on the conversation for a few minutes and kind of maintain that. But that's really all. And most of my friend and family time goes to my significant other for a couple days a week, a couple hours. And luckily, I found someone who understands who I am and what I do. I mean, also remember this: I've known my significant other. I've known her since high school, and she's seen me evolve into this person over time. If I met a girl right now, she probably would not put up with the way my schedule is or how I act. But when you've been with someone for many, many years and they've seen how you've progressed to this and they see why you're doing it, if that person is supportive and they understand that you're doing this to build for you and them and your children in the future, I think you could have a good situation, assuming this all works out with us, which I assume it will. We're engaged, and yeah, I plan for that to go on until I die. That's the plan. So, yeah, So I guess I would say the best bit of advice I would say for balance is to set aside time where you're going to do your what I call your mandatory minimums. That should include spiritual time. If you go to church, synagogue, mosque, Zen gardens, whatever it is, meditation, set aside some time that you say this is spiritual time. Every day or every other day, whatever works in your belief system. Put that on your calendar, never move it. Say this is health time. Exercise, walks, BJJ, lifting, running, whatever it is. Fix that in your calendar and don't remove it. Say this is wife, husband, whatever time, and don't move it. Pick a few things like that you need to have in your life that are going to make sure you can be productive as a human. And then for every other hour, spend it doing things that are useful for you or things you enjoy for you that are not just scrolling TikTok or YouTube. And the other big part of this that I would say is that when you stop working, stop working. When when 5 or 6 o'clock comes for me, sometimes it's 4 o'clock because remember I wake up at 4:30 in the morning and I'm going from 4:30 until at least 4 o'clock, sometimes 5 or 6 o'clock. When that time comes, I'm no longer looking at emails. I'm no longer doing anything that I consider work because I have to recharge so that I can wake up at 4:30 and do it again. I also go to bed at like 8 o'clock, 8:30ish, 9 o'clock. So like I'm not going to bed at 9, 10 p.m. and waking up at 4:30. But keep in mind, I do this every day. New Year's, Christmas, Cinco de Mayo, almost every day of the year, my birthday. This is what I do. And I really enjoy it. I like structure. Makes me happy. That's some of my advice. Okay. Sorry, another piece of advice related to that. I want to make sure I give a balanced answer here because this can potentially look like I'm trying to advocate for obsessive working that never stops. I don't believe in that. Remember, this is a period of life. This will not be my whole life. And it shouldn't be your whole life either. And I don't think everyone should do this. You have to have the right personality to do this type of a thing. And if you don't have the personality that is gravitating toward the type of structure that I just told you about, then quit something. Maybe quit something in your life. I don't know what that quitting thing would be. Maybe you drink, quit drinking. Maybe you need to quit YouTube. Maybe you need to quit your job. I don't know. But there's only a certain amount of hours a day, and there's no real trick to cramming in more or to balancing it unless you're willing to do the things that most people don't do. So, yeah. I wish you all of the luck. And if you ever want more advice that I can kind of gear towards you in particular, send me an email. We can actually talk about this. I can talk to you one-on-one about some ideas I have about this because it's something I thought about a lot, something I've been thinking about for a very long time. I've used similar things when I was in graduate school, when I was doing my undergraduate degree. I have a lot of ideas about this. Gibson Murphy Lab, worth it, or maybe PRS Wood Library. Never tried a Wood Library, never tried the Murphy Lab, so I can't really say. But I believe the Murphy Lab will probably hold value better. So I don't know if you care about that, but maybe then. Have you tried a PRS Tremonti? So guys, it's on my list, but I don't want to spoil it. It's on my list. I don't think I'm trying it for the Les Paul series, but I will try it eventually. But it's on my list. Am I enjoying the Tal guitar? Do I play it a lot? No. So, do I still enjoy it? Yes. Do I play it a lot? No. Just because I have so many other guitars now that I kind of have a better relationship with. But it's still an amazing guitar. It's just not the one that I gravitate towards the most these days. Would you recommend owning multiple mid-tier guitars or only one in the higher end? I'm currently in 2 bands, but they only have half step apart. Congrats. Thank you so much. Thank you for the congrats. If you have different tunings, then yes, 2 mid-tier guitars are better than 1 expensive one. Because ultimately, you want to be in a situation where you are playing guitar. And if for me, like I only play in 1 tuning, so I could theoretically only have 1 guitar. But even when I didn't have this many guitars because I wasn't on YouTube, I always had at least 2 guitars because there would be days when one guitar string would break. And in the middle of practicing, when you have limited time, it's like I have to now stop my whole practice session because this string broke. So for that reason, I always had at least 2 guitars because I could just put that one down, pick up the other one and start practicing with that one. And then later in the day when I was done working, I could change the string when it's not my main practice time. So always at least 2 guitars. If you play in 2 tunings, maybe 4 guitars. But no, yes, I do recommend 2 guitars if you play in different tunings. Awesome. I put you on to sleep sometimes. Very quiet, peaceful videos, man. Thank you for the comfort. Let me just say, to me, the highest compliment I could ever get is someone saying they listen to me when they go to sleep. Because I know for me, the stuff that I listen to fall asleep, and my significant, my fiance, and these are like people that we hold to like, I don't know. To me, I'm very picky about what I will listen to while I fall asleep. And most of us are. And to think that anyone has me in that category is the biggest honor. It's what higher trust is there besides babysitting your kids or cooking your food? Like sleeping with me. Thank you. I did have one question. I'm 25 now with kids. I do play every night and I enjoy it. If you had to sorry, I read that wrong. I did have one question. I'm 25 now. Okay, 25. With kids. I do play every night and I enjoy doing it. If I had to prioritize, there's more here. Let me see if I can read this. I don't know why I can't see the rest of the comment. If I had to prioritize. If I had to prioritize one, what would it be? Writing your own stuff, practicing songs you like, or practicing technique. I'm going to say a tie for writing your own songs and practicing stuff. I would say basically prioritize songs always. Whether it's songs you're arranging, songs you're learning, songs you're writing, prioritize songs and build everything around that. So if you're working on technique, build technique around the song. If you're working on theory, build theory around the song. That's the best method. When are we getting a solo album? Man, I really want, like the other guy said before, I do want to do a solo album of fingerstyle arrangements. That one will be easier than the other albums that I have planned, but definitely eventually. I cannot tell you when. Thanks for the congrats. Have you ever tried a Firebird or Firebird style pickups? No. I haven't tried a Firebird. I have tried mini humbuckers. I'm not sure if they're the same as Firebird pickups. I think they're similar. I like them, but I've never tried a Firebird guitar. Congrats, you've been a big inspiration to me. Thank you. I still find it kind of weird when someone says you've been an inspiration. Not weird as in you're weird as in like I never thought that someone would say stuff like that for YouTube videos, from me at least. But I get it, because growing up I was big into YouTube and there's a lot of guys who are huge inspirations to me. So I guess, I just never thought I would be that person. So thank you. What's your opinion on Explorer type guitars? Never tried one. Sorry. But James Hetfield looks really cool when he plays them. Fretboard visualization tips. Yes. Okay. I'm going to have a whole course on this. Simple thing. People try too hard to learn the entire guitar, to make it all very complicated. More guitar playing on this beautiful PRS Studio S2. People give you this advice to learn every note on the fretboard. We'll do it in the key of G as an example. We go G here, 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 G here. And then they say things like, learn how to visualize all the intervals around those Gs. So that's the relationship between G and 12 other notes in all of those positions. And then do that for all 12 notes. I believe if we had unlimited time, if we were living for 10 lifetimes, we could do that. But most people don't have that type of time. Guitars my whole life. I've never done that. I can't. I've tried to do it. I can't. It does not work for me. Let me show you what does work for everyone I've ever met. You've probably been playing bar chords your whole life. or at least ever since the 6 months period of guitar. You probably know this bar chord here, G major. Let's get a brighter pickup tone. You probably know this G major right here too, don't you? G major has 3 notes in it. The root, the third, the fifth. This G major, the root is right here. This G major, on the high E string, that's the fifth. So with these 2 shapes, we have 2 of the 3 positions we need for G major of a chord. If we do a major third from here to here, via our 3-note per string patterns, we can easily grab the third here, which is now the last part of the triad. So we have root, we have third, we have fifth from the high strings. Those are all very accessible because you always play this, you always play this. You're just adding this one right here, which you can grab like that, or you can grab it from here. So if you just worked on playing your normal songs, G, G, and added this in, now you have 3 ranges of the guitar that you already know and that you already always go to. What if you learn the triad intervals right there? And you learn them here. Back to neck pickup. And you learn them here. Now you have 3 giant parts of you have 3 regions that you're comfortable with on the guitar, playing all your triad notes. Okay? So we have here, we have here, and we also have up to octave, and this extra one over here. If you learn all your cool licks, all of your cool theory stuff, relative to those shapes you already play all the time, when you need to go improvise, it's all going to be there already for you. Someone says a song is G major, then it goes to D major, then it goes to A minor, then it goes back to G major. That's how you would probably play it. You don't even need to practice that. You could do it right now. It takes 0 effort. And just the same way you can easily see those bar chords, you can see those triads if you spend a little bit of time doing it. Not a lot of time, a little bit of time. So now you can go, the song goes G, whatever, G, D, A, G. It comes time to solo. Okay, here's the G. Here are my notes. Then it goes to D. Here are my notes. Oops. Then it goes to A. Here are my notes. Then it goes back to G. Maybe instead of going back to that G, from here, you come to this G, since it's right there. So you go from A back to G. And now since you're here, next time you go to D, maybe you go to this D. Why? Because you know that D bar chord anyway. And now you have those notes. Then you go, okay, well, A is next. Well, you know this A minor bar chord. So you play those A minor bar chord notes. And then you know this G. So you go there. Think about that. 2 bar chord shapes plus one extra connector that you can get to easily. And all of the songs you play with bar chords, you can now know the changes. You just have to learn a little bit of intervals around there, learn a couple little licks, learn a couple pentatonic shapes related to it. I promise you it's not hard. Oh, but you haven't mastered the whole fretboard. Who cares? Who cares? How many guitar players have actually mastered the entire fretboard? I don't know. Did B.B. King master the entire fretboard? Did Jimmy Page master the entire fretboard? I mean, The best guitar player I know, Steve Benson, New York jazz guy. He's in his 60s. The other day, like last year, he was teaching fretboard theory at Montclair State. And I was talking to him about it. He was like, yeah, man, I was teaching that class for the first time. I learned so much about the fretboard I didn't know. This is a guy who can sight read. He can look at a melody, just the melody line, and he can create a chord arrangement while reading the melody line in real time, a song he's never seen. And then he can solo over it at the same time in real time. He's never seen it. He's one of the best guitar players I've ever seen, ever, period. And he says that he's just learned a lot about the fretboard by teaching an undergraduate music theory course for guitar players. This idea that we need to master the entire fretboard and that's going to be this thing that we do is kind of, to me, it's asinine. It's a pipe dream. To me, we set that as our long-term goal and we work towards it. But how do we get there? By learning some simple stuff first, like what I just showed you. And as you get better at stuff like that, you get new little insights along the way. So like, I've known this my whole life. Not my whole life, but I've known this for a long time. But I'll show you one thing. I was working on fretboard stuff a couple days ago with some of my guys in the guitar program, and it just kind of hit me that like in Little Wing starts in A minor, and then it goes to G major, and like if you start with A minor pentatonic, when you go to that G. If you stay in A minor pentatonic, you're not playing the relative major. So it's perfectly there to also play over G major. Now, I've known that. You've all known that probably too. But when you actually do it, it's like, wow, that's actually really easy. Because instead of worrying about trying to learn all of these whatever methods and shapes and techniques, I'm already doing it with things that I already know. So that's my tip. Start simple. Use your regular bar chord shapes. Use the pentatonic scale. The pentatonic scale is great for a reason. Yes. Someone says, I've been watching your content for a while and never looked at your subscriber count. I was amazed. I thought you were close to 500,000. No. Nowhere near 500,000. Thank you for watching, though. Again, if I was at 500,000, I would be a millionaire. And I'm nowhere near either of those things. Raphael says, congrats. Appreciate you, man. He has been watching since 5,000. We've been talking since 5,000. Will you try to cover a Necrophagist song soon? Not soon, but I will eventually cover, is it Something Stillborn? I love that song. It's probably the only Necro, that band. It's the only one of the songs I probably could ever play, but I do want to play that one day. Thought process when arranging Fly Me to the Moon cover. So basically when I arrange guitar songs, I have a very simple principle. I have a few different, and by the way, I do have a chord arranging course that will be out soon, a solo guitar arranging course. It's actually ready, I just don't have it live, but I'll make it live eventually. Subscribe to the newsletter if you care about that. But I have a very simple method. There are certain chords that I go to all the time, like this chord, like this chord, like this chord, whatever the chords are. They're kind of my stock 10, 20 chords that I always use because they work really well for guitar. Then I look for the melody around them. If I can find a melody with those chords, I play it with those chords. It usually works. If I can add in a walking bass thing by moving my first finger as I keep the chord playing, I do it because it sounds cool. Whenever there's a situation where I can't play the chord, a seventh chord usually, because my stock 10 to 27th chords, they work really well. If it doesn't work, I go to try to play a triad because it has less notes and sometimes you can fit it in easier. So it might be like a spread triad or a regular triad. If I can't fit that in either, then I usually try to just play a bass note and the melody note. So it's all just something like a... whatever. I have a couple of other techniques, but that's basically my thought process. Like, I try to do it with a full 7th chord. If it doesn't work, I reduce. If it doesn't work, I reduce. And what ends up happening is that just because of the way the guitar is laid out, that process of elimination to finding what works ends up creating a lot of cool stuff. And I'm not making it cool. It's just because the guitar isn't perfect. So it's going to force you to do things in a different way. And those different ways are what makes each arrangement sound unique. Of course, I do have some, I guess, artistic part of it where, like, I hear certain things and I want to try them, or I move certain ways or whatever. But yeah, that's just what I do. And if there's harmonics nearby, I'll add those in if it works. And if a song is too hard to keep interesting because of, like, the types of chords are too kind of static, a song like My Funny Valentine, where it's like one harmony over a lot of it, then I just change the song and make it more moody intentionally so that I can do more, like, stuff with it. I forgot how to play my arrangement of My Funny Valentine. Yeah, I forgot how to play it. I don't know whether I play it for you. Yeah, I can't play it right now. I'll play it eventually and post it. But yeah, when a song is like that, where it's very moody and ambient, and it's too hard to keep it like a fast motion thing like Fly Me to the Moon, then I'll just, like, do things like that, where it's like... or whatever, you know? So I kind of just do what I can with the guitar and my lack of talent. And because I don't have a lot of talent, and because the guitar is kind of strange, it kind of it turns whatever you can do into something that's unique based on your brain. That is the last question. Thank you guys so much if you made it this far. If you made it this far, and only if you made it this far, I want you to comment something very strange that would confuse people. What would be strange? If you made it this far, I want you to comment I don't know. What's a weird thing that would look very out of place in my videos? Everything is weird that I do, so I don't even know. If you made it this far, I want you to comment overhead camera setup. So if you made it this far, comment overhead camera setup as your first thing, and then colon, and then whatever you want to say. That'll confuse everybody. Thank you for subscribing if you have subscribed. If you haven't, you can if you want to. Newsletter, totally free, link below. I'll talk to you at, I don't know, 100K. Let's see. That will be the next Q&A. See you guys.